Every year, Americans spend billions of dollars on fat-burning pills. Bottles with 90 ingredients on the label promising to melt fat while you sleep. And when researchers actually put those pills under a microscope, something almost embarrassing happened. Chest pain, racing hearts that wouldn't slow down, anxiety that wouldn't quit, elevated blood pressure, real documented reactions, reviewed by institutions like the National Institutes of Health, from products sold legally on shelves right now. Here's the part that should bother you more than it probably does. The FDA doesn't require these supplements to prove they're safe or even effective before they hit the shelf, not the way it does for medication, which means a bottle can legally combine 4 or 5 isolated stimulants at doses far beyond anything you'd get from actual food, and nobody has to prove it works before you buy it. Leading dietitians in the U.S. have started saying the same thing out loud. Instead of synthetic, high-risk formulas, build the effect from whole food. Slower, safer, and it turns out, just as real. So here's the question. What if the thing those pills are chasing was sitting in the grocery store the whole time? Stick around, because near the end, I'm going to show you one clinical trial where scientists combined 4 ordinary compounds together and got a result that surprised even them. But we start with the most ordinary one on the list. The one everybody underestimates. Food number 1, chili peppers. The burn in a jalapeno isn't in your imagination. It's a compound called capsaicin, and it physically triggers heat sensors in your gut. Your nervous system reads it as an emergency. Your temperature ticks up. Your energy expenditure rises. And here's where most videos about this get it wrong. It's small. About 5%. For a few hours, if you were expecting chili peppers to torch fat, that's not what's happening here. The real value is somewhere else entirely. Pair capsaicin with protein and a little calcium, and people naturally eat less at the next meal without trying to. There's even early evidence it helps blunt the metabolic slowdown that usually kicks in after someone's already lost weight. The frustrating plateau almost everyone hits. The headline effect is small. The side effect is the one that actually matters. Now compare that to something that doesn't just nudge your body. It rewires it. Food number 2, fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines. Inside these fish are omega-3 fats, EPA and DHA, that act almost like a key sliding into a lock inside your cell. Turn that key, and your cells start changing which fuel they prefer to burn, away from storing fat toward using it. That shift does something specific. It helps clear fat particles out of your bloodstream faster, and it reduces the fat that ends up parked in places it shouldn't be, like around your organs. On top of that, fish protein is unusually filling. Clinically, it keeps people fuller longer than the same amount of red meat or poultry does. This isn't a few-hour spike like the peppers. This is your cells changing their default setting over weeks. 2 servings a week, about 3 ounces each, is the number researchers landed on. Not because it sounds clean, because that's the dose where the effect actually shows up in the data, alongside real cardiovascular benefits too. So chili peppers give you a nudge. Fish rewires the machinery. But the next one doesn't touch your cells at all. It hijacks a hormone your body already makes. Food number 3, green tea. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, and what it does is almost sly. Your body naturally produces a fat-releasing hormone. But it also has an enzyme whose entire job is to shut that hormone down, fast. EGCG blocks that shutoff switch. The result? Your body's own fat release signal just stays turned on longer than it normally would. And that signal keeps knocking specifically on fat cells, telling them to let go of what they're storing. Add the natural caffeine already sitting in the same cup, and you get a strange kind of teamwork. One clinical instructor at UCLA called it a dream team. The EGCG holds the signal open. The caffeine helps your body actually burn what gets released, especially fat sitting deep around the midsection. 2 to 3 cups a day. Not a megadose extract. The actual tea at the dose the research used. Here's where it gets uncomfortable for anyone selling you an energy drink. Food number 4. Coffee. The most ordinary drink in America might be the most quietly powerful thing on this entire list. Caffeine blocks a receptor in your brain that normally slows you down. That's why coffee wakes you up. But outside your brain, it does something separate. It stops an enzyme from breaking down a signal molecule, and that molecule flips on the switch that physically pulls fat out of storage and drops it into your bloodstream to be burned. Harvard School of Public Health tracked people drinking 4 cups a day and found it associated with a 4% reduction in body fat in people who were overweight. 4 cups. Not 1. Not a supplement. And there's an actual ceiling here worth knowing. Researchers cap safe daily intake around 400 milligrams of caffeine, roughly 3 to 4 regular 8-ounce cups. Past that line, you're not getting more benefit, you're just getting more risk. Now here's where a lot of advice you've heard your whole life is about to get flipped upside down. Food number 5. Whole eggs. For years, the advice was caution, cholesterol, heart risk, limit them. But look at what actually happens metabolically. Eating eggs, especially in the morning, suppresses the hormone that makes you feel hungry and raises 2 others that tell your brain you're full. They're also dense with fat-soluble vitamins and mineral cofactors your body needs to run these processes in the first place. In clinical measurement, that dropped hunger scores by 16% and raised fullness scores by 25%. Same calories. Completely different hormonal outcome. The caution isn't gone, by the way. People with existing heart risk are still advised to cap it around 3 eggs a week. But for most people, the food we spent decades being nervous about is doing real metabolic work. Most breakfasts don't. And speaking of advice that turns out backwards, here's a rule almost every dieter has heard. Eat less fat to lose fat. Food number 6. Greek yogurt. It breaks that rule from an angle nobody expects. It's not really about the protein this time, even though the protein is double what you'd get from regular yogurt. It's about calcium. Your body has 2 hormones that, when active, tell fat cells to grab onto fat and hold it, and they even switch on an enzyme inside fat cells that builds new fat. High dietary calcium suppresses both of those hormones. Suppress them, and fat cells flip from holding mode to releasing mode, while your muscle stays protected in the process. 1 to 2 servings a day, unsweetened, low fat. The sweetened stuff adds enough sugar to undo the entire mechanism you just gained. 6 foods in, and every single one worked by adjusting something. A hormone, an enzyme, a cellular switch. The 7th one doesn't adjust anything. It breaks the rule completely. Food number 7. MCT oil. You've probably heard this your whole life. Fat you eat becomes fat you store. It's the entire logic behind low-fat everything. MCT oil ignores that rule outright. Normal fat has to go through a long digestive process. Broken down, packaged, shipped slowly through your lymphatic system with plenty of opportunity along the way to get stored. Medium-chain triglycerides skip nearly all of it. They go straight into your bloodstream, straight to your liver, and get burned for fuel almost immediately. Some of it converted into ketones, an entirely alternate fuel source your body can run on instead of sugar. It barely gets the chance to be stored at all. On top of that, it helps preserve lean muscle during a calorie deficit, which is exactly the tissue most diets accidentally burn through. And it takes a real bite out of appetite too. The clinical range is 1.5 to 2 tablespoons a day. But start with 1 teaspoon. This is the one food on this list that can cause real digestive trouble if you rush it. Before the reveal, I promised you one more contrast worth sitting with. Put these 7 foods side by side with the pills from the start of this video, and the differences aren't small. Supplements deliver high, isolated doses, no fiber, no water, nothing to slow absorption down. Whole food delivers a naturally regulated dose wrapped inside fiber and water that your body actually has to work to digest, which is its own calorie burn. Supplements barely trigger that digestive cost at all. And the adverse effect column tells the whole story by itself. Whole food's worst-case side effect is a little extra gas from fiber. The supplement column includes chest pain, Now the thing I promised you at the start, researchers didn't just study these compounds one at a time. In one controlled trial, they combined 4 of them together. A compound called tyrosine, the capsaicin from chili peppers, the catechins from green tea, and caffeine. 57 people, 8 weeks, on a real, calorie-reduced diet, cutting about 1.3 megajoules a day, compared against a placebo group of 23 on the exact same diet. Both groups started the trial having already lost close to 7 kilograms in an earlier phase, and the combination didn't just add up the individual effects. On day 1, the treatment group earned roughly 87 extra kilojoules over 4 hours compared to placebo. By week 8, that elevated burn was still holding at 85 kilojoules over 4 hours, a statistically significant difference the whole way through, and it translated into a real extra reduction in fat mass compared to the placebo group. And the part that should matter most to anyone worried about supplements? No significant change in heart rate. No significant change in blood pressure. The metabolic benefit researchers were chasing, without the stimulant's usual cost. That's the answer to the question this video opened with. The pills chasing that effect come loaded with risk. The foods carrying the same compounds in their natural form came with almost none. So, here's the honest part. The part the title of this video is quietly daring you to disagree with. None of this is instant. The 4% from coffee happened over a full trial period. The combination trial took 8 weeks to show its strongest, most sustained results. Nothing here melts fat while you sleep tonight. But that's not a disappointing ending. That's the tell. The supplement's promising overnight results can't survive contact with real human trials. These 7 foods already have. Put it together, and a normal day looks like this. A high-protein breakfast of eggs or Greek yogurt, coffee or green tea through the morning, fatty fish and a little heat at meals, and a small daily dose of MCT oil, in place of some of your regular cooking oil. None of it requires severe restriction, and none of it requires a warning label. No subscription, no racing heart, just the version of this that was already sitting in the store. If this changed the way you think about what fat burning actually means, hit like. It's the signal that keeps this channel making the science-first version of these videos instead of the sales pitch version. Tell me in the comments which one of these 7 surprised you the most. I have a guess which one it'll be. And if you want more of this, the real research behind the claims everyone else is just repeating, subscribe.